I can.
Cool. Okay, so welcome to Lunch and Learn. For those that haven't been before, it's a 45 minutes to an hour of education about a set topic. This time we're talking about some simple SEO strategies for businesses of your kind of ilk, your kind of size. I'm going to talk through some things that you guys can do. It's also stuff that you might be able to get an agency like us to do. But a lot of SEO stuff, really, bar the technical stuff, because you typically have three different things. You've got on-site SEO, off-site SEO, and technical SEO. Bar the technical stuff, a lot of it is stuff you can do, or you can learn to do. It just takes a lot of time. So we're going to talk through some stuff today that you should be doing, why you should be doing it, some tips around that. But it's about 45 minutes to an hour long. You're not on camera. We can't hear you, so feel free to eat, feel free to drink, do whatever you want. Scream at the top of your voice if you want. We can't hear you. But that's Lunch and Learn. Let's skip through if I can. For anyone that doesn't know me, I know a couple of people in the room do. I'm Dave. I set up 146 almost 13 years ago, which is crazy, really. And we're a digital marketing agency. So there's kind of four key things that we look at. It's web builds, it's social media management. So we manage social media campaigns. It's ad campaigns. We manage Google and social campaigns. Social ad campaigns, and it's search-based campaigns, or SEO. And within SEO, falls things like PR, little things like that. But I'm Dave. I set this company up, and we've also got in the room Rebecca with different colour hair.
Hello. I am part of the team mostly responsible for the marketing of 146, and I also have some clients as well that I work with.
So a lot of you actually do a lot of this stuff, don't you? A lot of stuff that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
For businesses that just don't have the time. We tend to work with businesses that either don't have the time or don't have the expertise. Typically, don't have the time from a search perspective, because a lot of this is teachable. Just another key thing, this is totally free, but we do send out an email afterwards. I'm assuming we still send an email afterwards.
Yes.
Which encourages people to donate what would be a ticket fee to Cynthia Spencer. It's just on a Just Giving page. Go straight through to them. So if you do want to, you can do. There's no obligation. We're not going to check. It is a totally free webinar, but you're welcome to do that if you want to. We haven't had many of late, so if anyone does want to donate, even like a couple of quid or £5, you know where it's going. It's a great cause. Anyway, delving straight in. Simple SEO strategies for small business. So today I'm going to look at, firstly, some of the reasoning as to why you might want to, why you guys might want to be on the call. Why you guys might want to increase your search presence and what that might mean for you. Because I think the why is really important. Then I'm going to look at, okay, what do you need to do first before you start any of this? And then we're going to look at some key tips, some key things, some key strategies, you might say. I guess that's what it's titled as. So some key SEO strategies that you guys can implement quite easily, actually. It just takes time. So jumping on to the first thing, know your why. Now, this is really important because a lot of businesses approach us and say, oh, I want to be at the top of Google. I say, well, why? Now, in most cases, the reason why is to gain more traffic, to gain more leads. But that's not always going to be the case, because we work with businesses, for example, B2B. And again, this doesn't apply to all B2B businesses, but some B2B businesses, they won't necessarily get the kind of search traffic that you anticipate you might get. There are so many different ways to market yourself, and not every business needs to rely on search. Whenever we get businesses approach us looking to rebuild a website, we always ask them, what are you looking to achieve from this? Who are you, what's the reason as to why you're looking to build this website or rebuild this website? And typically it's down to, well, I want to attract more traffic off Google. Brilliant. Let's do the research. The second reason might be, I just want it as a bit of a referral tool, a trust giving tool, something that, we have marketing strategies that reach out to potential clients in different ways. And I want to back it up with a website should they go and, want to find out more about them. So they're in the knowledge that they're not necessarily going to go and get those organic searches. Now, in the room, we have a hair salon, Cherie from Lava Boot Hair. Now, I know that you guys will get traffic from Google because people search for hair salons in Northampton, for example. But it's really important to understand that. Now, that's quite an easy one. But other businesses in the room might not get that search traffic. They might not get any search traffic. There might not be anyone searching for what you're trying to do. So just know, why are you looking to potentially invest some time into SEO? Because it might not be worth it. And then once you know that, what you need to do is you need to know what your users are searching for. Now, we quite often have people approach us. We onboarded a business last month. They're an engineering company. I won't say who. They're an engineering company, and they approached us with, right, we want to get more business from Google. We want to appear at the top of Google. That was their thing. We want to appear number one for such and such. And they put in front of us a list of keywords. It's about 20 keywords. And said, these are the ones we want to appear top for. Now, that was great in a sense. It was great to get that list. It's really good to kind of get that kind of feedback from clients. But they don't know. They hadn't done the research as to whether their users were actually searching for those keywords. And actually, in fact, 90% of them, they weren't. So if they'd gone out and said, right, we're going to if they'd use these SEO strategies and optimize their website for those particular keywords, they would have firstly got nowhere because they were stupidly competitive keywords. There are certain keywords that are either really competitive or not competitive. There's ways of us kind of judging that through some of the tools we use. Things like Ahrefs is a really good tool that helps us identify stuff like that. If they'd have identified what their users are actually searching for, they would have found some better keywords that people that are trying to find them as a business are actually searching for, and keywords that are actually achievable in terms of getting towards the top of Google. The keywords they put over to us were things like engineering company. Well, there's loads of different types of engineering company. People say, yes, there's loads of searches for engineering company, but it's incredibly difficult to achieve that. And secondly, if you appear at the top of Google for engineering company, it's still not going to get them any relevant traffic. So it's really, really important. We've just had someone else join the room, Carolina. Nice to see you. We've just delved into this, so just feel free to catch up, but we're very early on. So knowing what your users are searching for is incredibly important, and that's where keyword research comes in. And there are loads of different tools you can use to generate keyword research. The best thing to do is to Google tools for keyword research. But there is a Google tool. There's things like Ahrefs, there's Moz, M-O-Z. I think there's one that Neil Patel has put out there. There's quite a few free ones. There's quite a few paid ones. And by utilizing those tools and looking at some of the keywords, that it's almost just a case of trial and error, putting some of the keywords you think people are searching for, putting your website, you might fill some keywords from that, putting your competitor websites, you might fill some keywords from that. But by knowing what your users are searching for, you can do everything that we're going to come on to in a second and optimize your website for those keywords. And you're likely to then appear higher for those keywords. And if those keywords attract traffic, if they're generally quite easy to optimize your website for, then sooner rather than later, you will appear higher in the search rankings for them. But it is absolutely crucial to know what your users are searching for. And I mentioned a second ago, it's a really good idea to check out your competition. Every time we jump on Lunch and Learn, whether it's social media related, whether it's search related, ads related, I always say, have a look at your competition, because it gives you an insight as to what is actually working. And when it comes to keywords, your competition, for example, let's say you do a search for hair salon in Northampton, Cherie, because you're in the room. The top 3 on Google, they're going to be ranking really highly for those kind of keywords. So by putting your competition websites into those tools, those free tools, things like Ahrefs, Moz, the Google Keyword Planner, you might be able to field some of the other keywords that they're being found for. And by doing that, you can again further optimize your website for those keywords, because you don't know what you don't know. So if you don't know what kind of things your users are searching for, using your competition and analyzing how what your competition are actually being found for, I can't say that word today, will help you rank higher for keywords that your users are actually searching for. So make sure you check out your competition as well. And all of these search tools that are out there, they generally allow you to put in a website, so you can put in your competitor's website, have a look at what kind of search terms they're getting found for, what kind of search volumes, what kind of position they're at for that particular search term, and you can optimize your website as per those search terms as well. So I wanted to kind of delve into almost introduce things, make sure you know why you want to potentially invest some time into search. Make sure you know that people are actually searching for you as a business. And then if they are, know what they're searching for and know the volumes around them. And thirdly, check out what your competition are actually getting found for, because that will give you some really good keyword information. So they're kind of the introductory bits. Now I'm going to jump into some key strategies that you guys can use to get your website higher at Google. It's as simple as that. And by the way, there are no guarantees in SEO. We actually lost a client we don't lose many clients, but we lost a client about 3 or 4 months ago on the basis that they got poached by another agency. And the actual reasoning from the client was, yes, we had another agency. To be fair, they weren't a local company. We're not a local company to them. We just got picked them up years ago through referrals. And they got approached by a local agency and said, yeah, they've guaranteed these particular results. And that's the worst thing you can hear. There are no guarantees in SEO for the very simple reason that you never know what other businesses are doing. So let's say there's 10 slots on the first page of Google for every key search term. You don't know if those other 9 companies or 10 companies or 20 companies are investing double the amount of time at that kind of, into those kind of search campaigns. And if they are, they're likely to be ahead of you on Google. So there are no guarantees to this. What I'm telling you is just good practice. By doing this and doing more of this, you're more likely to appear higher up the search for keywords that you've researched. But there are no guarantees, because company A, company B could be doing that and more so. And you will never know unless you track them over time. So there are no guarantees. And if you ever get approached by an agency, by the way, to do this for you, again, there are no guarantees. They can give you an idea as to what you're likely to achieve, but you need to track it over time. And we're going to talk about tracking later. So anyway, on to the first thing that you guys can do. This is quite general, but optimize everything. And when I talk about optimizing things, I talk about the content on your website. We're talking about on-site SEO here. So everyone in the room here has a website. On that website, you have content. You have anything from 1 page through to 100 pages, let's say. And every single page is built up in generally the same way. You will have a page title, which may or may not appear on the actual page content, but you will have a page title. You'll have a meta description. You will have headers, so header text, so what we refer to as H1 text or H2 text or H3 text. You have content, which is the words broken up into different paragraphs, different sections. Some of it might be bold, some of it might be italics, some of it might be above the fold. Now, we refer to above the fold as the content that's visible on a website, whether it's desktop, tablet, mobile, before you scroll. So some of it would be above the fold, whether it be an image, the menu, the logo, bit of content, whatever that might be. Some of it would be imagery. In most cases, some of it would be imagery. And then some of it would be links linking to elsewhere across your website, whether that be buttons or just links or to other websites. So that is typically how a website is built up. Yeah, you might have other things. You might have other bits of functionality like a booking system or social media bits integrated. But generally speaking, that is the makeup of every single page on your website. When I say optimize everything, I mean optimize all of that. So when you've done your keyword research, what you need to do is you need to make sure the content on your pages are in line with the keywords that you're looking to appear for with that page. You might have different pages that want to rank for different things. For example, we have different pages on our website. We've got a web design page, we've got a SEO page, we've got a social media page, we've got a ad campaign page, and different pages off of those. But if I take those 4 as examples, for SEO campaigns, we would make sure that the keyword research we do is specific to SEO based keywords. And we would make sure that the keywords are then utilized across the content on those pages. And I'll use one as an example shortly. For web design, we would use web design based keywords and make sure that they're optimized throughout that page. So if we go to, let's say, a hair salon, you might have different services in the way of haircuts, and you might have different services in the way of hair colors. So you might want to do different pieces of keyword research for each and then optimize accordingly. Now, when we go through an optimizer site, we would take those, let's say it's web design as an example. We would take those keywords, we'd prioritize certain keywords. What keywords do we physically want to appear for? And when you do your research, you will get things like keyword volumes. Let's say there's a keyword that gets typically 500 searches per month. You'd want to prioritize your kind of keywords in your content around that particular keyword versus something that's maybe getting 50 searches a month. But it also depends on how difficult it's going to be to achieve that. So you'll get a difficulty factor from 1 to 100 when you use these keyword tools. And you ideally there's no kind of hard and fast rule, but let's say if I get a keyword web design Northampton, there's typically getting 500 searches, but it's 25 out of 100 in terms of difficulty rating, but I get something that's getting 250 searches, that's 1 out of 100 in terms of difficulty rating. I might try and target my keyword around that second one because I'm not guaranteed, but I'm more likely to get towards the top because it's not as difficult. So utilizing those keywords, we would use those keywords across our content, and that would be within your page title, within your meta description. Now, for those that don't know, a meta description is if you search on Google, you'll get websites come up and you get the page title at the top, and then you get a brief describer as to what that page is about. That's your meta description. It gives Google a brief describer as to what your website or that page is about. And typically speaking, most websites, if built correctly, they will have the option to add a meta description to each individual page. So you would feed those keywords naturally, and I'll come on to that in a second, into your page title, into your meta description, into the headers, and make sure there is a good structure amongst your headers. So main header text, your top header text would be H1 text. Subheaders underneath that would be H2 text, and subheaders would be H3 text. You can go all the way down to H6 text. You won't necessarily use all of them, but it's good to have a really good structure, across those particular pages. And you want to make sure you get naturally those keywords within that content. You want to also get it within the content. You want to make sure that when you put an image on, the file name of the image ideally is a description of the image. And also includes keywords. And then you have alt text. So alt text stands for alternative text. Google can't read images, so they use alternative text, alt text. And you will have the option to add in alt text to any image on a web page. And again, you want to make sure that the keywords are naturally placed into those images as well. So let's say, for example, I've got a page which is all about hair coloring, and I've got an image that's got a picture of someone with some really nice kind of hair color. The alt text might be something along the lines of a lady who came into Lara Boot Hair Salon to get her hair colored using the balayage service, something along those lines, something with an actual describer. And then what you want to do is make sure that your keywords are naturally placed into all of that content. Now, when I mentioned I'll come back to me using the term naturally. Bex, your video has gone off, by the way. Oh, you're back. Yeah. It is really important to not use these keywords unnaturally. That sounds ridiculous. What do I mean by naturally? Just use it as though you would usually use words in a sentence. Don't go stuffing keywords in here, there, and everywhere. It's not always about utilizing that specific keyword across every single header, meta description, every single paragraph in your content, in your text. It's also about using relatable keywords, so different keywords. So if I was trying to use web design within my content, I might use things like web design, web designer, designer website, developer website, builder website. You might use different relatable keywords across your content. So you don't want to keyword stuff, but on the other hand, Google reads content, and that's how they judge where your website should appear on Google. So you do have to get in keywords. That's absolutely crucial. but just make sure there's different keywords going in. Now, it's also absolutely crucial that you get as much content in there as possible. I'm going to come on to that shortly, because that's a little bit out. We're talking about content and optimizing it. That's kind of part of it, but I'm going to come on to that shortly. So we'll come back to that in a bit. But the first thing I would encourage you to do is go through your websites, especially if the websites are old. Go through your websites and optimize things, because Google changes what they rank, websites on. It might not have been as applicable at the time, but you need to make sure your website is optimized. The second thing you want to do is link to things within your website. So on every single website page, you can link either internally to other pages on your website, or you can link externally. Whether this is a blog, whether this is a website page, a case study, whatever this might be, you can link to things. Now, link building is absolutely crucial to a website's performance on Google, because it almost creates a bit of a web across the internet. You start linking to things, they start linking to you. Backlinks is something I will mention at some point, but at the moment we're going to talk about how you can link to other things. Now, the reason it's crucial is when Google see your web page, they want to see other web pages that are relevant off of that. You want to almost create a relevant web, and it has to be relevant. You don't want to have a page that talks about hair coloring and then link to nails and beauty. Now, there is a slight relevance in that, but you kind of get my point. There's nothing necessarily bad with it, but you don't want to go linking to, let's say, a motorcycle company, as an example. You want to make sure you link to things that are relevant. Now, we do a lot of work with solicitors based in Northampton. We have done for years. And at the moment, we're going through every single page on their website, and we've got a strategy, and we are trying to add new relevant links to each particular page. So we take a family law page as an example. And what we've got is we've structured the content really nicely. And on the left-hand side, we've now got we're building in a new menu of recommended links, recommended articles. We've built loads of articles on this site over the last 5 years, and now we want to start linking through to them. So let's say it's a family law page. On the left-hand menu, we might have articles related to family law, something along the lines of how long does it take to go, how long typically does it take to run through a family law case? Stuff that is relevant to family law. So it's really important to link to things. And it's as important to link internally as externally. So if you've built loads of blogs in the past, or educational pieces, or case studies, or even an FAQ page, find pages that you can link through to from other pages, because it builds that almost web, and Google loves that. But it's also crucial to link to external things as well, external sites that you believe Google will add value to. And you can either add follow links or no follow links. Let us know in the chat if you want to know anything about that. But it's also important to link to external sites if you've maybe taken information from there, or you think that information is relevant to what you're discussing. Now, linking to external things is really good from blogs or case studies. Linking internally is good on pages, blogs, case studies, the works. But it's really important to go through and link to things, because it will create that web. It'll help Google to kind of crawl your website better. And by doing that, it will help improve its rankings as well. So the second thing is link to things. And again, this is all stuff that you can do. This is really easy to do on your website. Just takes time. The third thing is write high quality evergreen content. Now, there's two key elements to this. First of all, high quality. Your content needs to be what we regard as best on the web. That's why we say high quality. Your content needs to be better than the other people's content who are ranking ahead of you for those key search terms, in order for you to rank ahead of them. And that comes in just generally better quality content and more of it. So, for example, you might want to look at, if you're writing a blog, spend more time on your blog, do more research on your blog. And if there is a comparable blog that is ranking #1 on Google that's got 2,000 words, Write one that's got 3,000 words. Don't waffle, but make sure it's got more value. And you can only do that by comparing, looking at the competition, looking at what other stuff is appearing at the top of Google. You might want to add more images, add infographics, just add more content, add FAQs. But if it's a physical page that you want to get ranking, again, think about some high quality content you can add in. So one of the things we've done, one of the things we actively do on a lot of client campaigns, and again, it just takes time, is if they've got a web page that's fairly light on content, we will look to work out, right, how can we build on this content? It might just be that we add in new sections of content and we better define different areas of their service. But two of the things we tend to add in is FAQ section, because what do people do on Google? They ask questions. They ask questions to Google. So adding in an FAQ section not just captures the question that people are typing on Google, but also captures the answer. And thirdly, it allows you to add in some really good high quality content related to that subject. The second thing we do is we might add a case study. Now, typically speaking, people don't read case studies. We don't find that people read case studies. But by adding a case study page, let's say 500 to 1,000 words, detail, broken up into what was the challenge, what was the solution, here's the end result. By structuring it in a certain way, you have a page that first of all you can link to off of your page. You've got a case study you can link to, but second of all, you can write a snippet, a couple of paragraphs snippet to describe that case study and link through to it on the page you want to get ranked, which again provides really good content and really high quality content. So if you're thinking, God, how do I produce pages with 2,000 words on each? Well, what you do is look at your competition, see how they're doing, do more of it, but just try and break it down. It doesn't always have to be paragraphs and paragraphs of describe a content about that service. It might be FAQs, it might be a case study, it might be that you've written a really good article on that and you have a section with a couple of paragraphs that describes why that article is relevant to this particular service, why they might want to visit it, and link through to it again. So by breaking up all of this content into a plan, you can better write high quality content. And the second keyword there is evergreen. Now, this is easier when it comes to service-based and product-based pages. More difficult in a sense when it comes to blogs and articles, but evergreen content is essentially content that doesn't have a lifespan. It will be as relevant now as it is next year. Now, in certain instances, so let's say we write about SEO. It is generally evergreen, the content that we produce, but sometimes the parameters around search and SEO change. So Google starts to prioritize other things and says, we don't agree with that anymore, so we're going to change it. There's not much you can do about that. But generally, the stuff we produce is evergreen. Let's say, for example, hair salon, Cherie, I don't know if this is the case, but let's say you produce an article around some really cool tips around colouring someone's hair. And next year, it might turn out that some researcher says, oh, colouring people's hair in that particular way is really damaging. You only know what you know right now. So you can only produce evergreen content within the moment. But trying to produce content that you believe is evergreen is going to have more of a lifespan than the stuff that isn't. Now, that's not me saying that you shouldn't produce articles that are almost responding to something quite topical at the time. Let's say something around, we might produce something around threads. Threads has just been released by Meta. It's very relevant. It will generally stay a little bit evergreen, but depends on how we write it. But if we write it in the context of Threads has just been released, well, actually, in a couple of months' time, Threads wouldn't have just been released. All of a sudden, it's not evergreen. So I'm not saying don't produce non-evergreen content, but try and prioritize evergreen content, especially on service-based pages, product-based pages, because they're the ones that you really want to rank. But yes, what is absolutely crucial, however you do it, you need to write high-quality evergreen content, because that's what's going to get you found. And essentially, you need to do more of it than your competitors are doing. And this is why competitor research is absolutely crucial. Next one, stay active and relevant on Google My Business. People don't realize how much of an impact Google My Business has on search rankings. You should be using Google My Business as a social platform.
Just a reminder that it's Google Business Profile now, just in case anyone searches for it.
Cool. Okay.
We just haven't got out the habit of calling it
Google My Business. Yeah, Google Business.
Yeah, I find it hard to remember.
We're not up to date. So how can you stay active and relevant on I'm going to call it Google My Business. I think.
Google Business Profile.
It still gets found if you search for it. But how can you stay active and relevant on Google My Business? First of all, make sure your profile is complete. A lot of people don't complete their profiles. They let it grow stagnant. Now you can complete your profile by making sure your contact details are correct. For starters, I'm going to come on to, in fact, let me skip through because this is quite relevant. Skip onto a slide. Ensure NAP is consistent. This applies to Google Business Profiles. NAP is name, address, phone number. Make sure it's consistent across every directory you place yourself on and your website. Little things like if you're going to list yourself as 01604 space 419776, make sure that is consistent across all. The way you build your address, for us here, it's 10 Brookfield, Duncan Close, Moulton Park, blah, blah. Make sure that is the same across all of the directories, Google, your website and everything. Make sure it's consistent. That is absolutely crucial. Let's just bounce back to Google My Business. So make sure your Google profile is complete. It's consistent in terms of the contact details, your address, things like that. Susan, do you have to use a Google address for this? No, you don't. You can actually log in. You can sign up using your business email address. It's easy, yeah, it's easy enough to do if you don't have one already. But set it up, make sure it's up to date in terms of opening hours, pictures that are on there, put pictures on there, update that every so often. But there are two things that are absolutely crucial once you've got that done, because that's almost like a setup and leave, checking every so often, tweak things every so often. But the two crucial things is, do you have a review strategy? Now, review strategy sounds complicated. Oh, it's that strategy word, isn't it? People hate that strategy word. It means I've got to write pages and pages of a strategy. No, you don't. Just think about how you are going to gather reviews. So for a hair salon, I keep going back to you, Sheree. For a hair salon, you might have a strategy whereby you make sure that all of your staff know to ask the customers after every single haircut, please review us, please review us, please review. And there's no magic number. You don't say, oh, I'll get to 50 and I'll stop. No, keep going, keep going, keep going, because everyone else is going to keep going. They just keep adding up. So your review strategy might be ask every single customer after they've done business with you, or after they've, as they're leaving the chair and paying for their haircut, have you reviewed us? You might have a QR code at reception. That might be your review strategy. We have some customers that, if they're B2B, they have an automatic email go out once they close off a job on their CRM system. An automatic email goes out and says, how do you think we did? Please review us here. They click, they review. You're not going to get everyone, but by doing that, you'll start to get some feed through every single week, every single month. So first of all, what is your review strategy? How are you gaining reviews on Google? Because Google reviews are absolutely crucial. They're a massive indicator to Google that you are a trusted business. So it's absolutely crucial that you have that in place. The second thing that you need to do is regularly post on your Google business profile. You have the ability to post social updates. And by doing at least one a week, it will, I guarantee you, this is one thing I can guarantee, it will have an impact on your Google standing, where you appear in the search. Now, you can either do that within your Google My Business profile, or you can typically hook that into any scheduling tools that you use. We use a scheduling tool called Sked, which is great for agencies. There are things like Hootsuite, there's loads of them about. A lot of them do hook into Google My Business or your Google Business profile. So make sure that you do that, and you can just send out posts you're already sending out on other social platforms as well. That will have an impact, and I guarantee other people won't be doing it as well. It's nothing I can guarantee. The only other tip I would suggest with regards to the only other thing I would suggest with regards to your reviews and your posts make sure you're utilizing or using certain keywords and key phrases within those posts, within those reviews. Make sure you respond to your reviews. And when you respond, say, thank you so much for buying a website off us. It was great to see you as a Northampton business launch your website last month. So try and feed in some of those keywords as well in a natural way. Again, a way of doing that for a hair salon is rather than just saying, thank you, see you soon. It might be, thank you for booking a haircut with us. Hope to see you at our Northampton salon really soon. It's natural. It's a natural way to speak or write, but you're getting in some of those keywords. So do reviews, do posts, but make sure you respond to reviews. Make sure you're getting some of those keywords across your posts and your reviews. But your Google business profile, staying active and relevant is absolutely crucial. And again, it's something you guys can do. Right, next one, keep your site small. Now, we see this quite a lot. So this comes through to page speed. How slow is or how quick is your website? There's loads of different tools you can do to identify how quick or slow your website is. Typically, when a web developer builds your website, they will check how quick it is. They'll put things in place to make sure it is quick. And you can record how quick it is on things like Pingdom, GT metrics, that's GT metrics. We typically use that. There are some Google tools as well, but the Google tools are very, very harsh, and I feel like they're over harsh, so we use GT metrics. And they will typically say how quick your website is, how slow your website is, and what you need to do to improve that page speed. Now, you'll never get it loading absolutely instantly. There's always going to be some kind of lag, and that will come down to what you've got on your website, whether it's functionality. Let's say you've got a booking form, whether you've got you might have live chat, you might have Facebook pixels. All of that will slow your website down in tiny little ways. You might have videos, but you can only do so much. You know, there's a bit of a payoff between, do you want live chat? Does it attract visitors? Does it attract leads? Or is it too bulky that it's turning traffic away? So you need to kind of weigh that up in your mind. For this solicitor's website we work on, their website is actually reasonably slow compared to the other ones we've built. It loads in about 5 seconds, which is slower than what it should be, really. But it's an old website. We're pushing for them to build a new one, but it's an old website, so we've got that to deal with. But also they have certain things on their website, 2 things in particular that really slows it down. So they've got a solicitor's regulation snippet of code that produces this logo. They have to have that, and that takes up a second's worth of time on their website, which is insane, but legally they have to have it, and it happens on every single legal website. The second thing they have is they have a web chat system called Moneypenny, which is great for them because it generates loads of leads. It's a system where they have live people at the end of this live chat, and they get about 100 to 150 leads every single month from this. Which is great, but it slows their website down by about 2 seconds every single time because it takes time to load up. There are quicker live chats. One of the ones we use is, I'm trying to think what it's called, Tidio. Tidio is a really good live chat. It's quite lightweight, but it means that you have to do it yourself. There is some kind of AI chatbot thing within there, but they don't work as well as if you're there yourself. The great thing with Moneypenny, there's people at the end of the live chat, but it does take up space on the website. So there is almost this playoff. Do you keep your website really small, really quick to attract visitors, or do you add in functionality that's actually going to convert them? It's worth thinking about. Having a really super quick website is not the be all and end all. You need it to a point, but there are some playoffs there. But there are certain things you can do to keep your site small. And we see it all the time. Don't add massive images. When you add an image, have a look at how big that image is. If the image is over, let's say, 200 kilobytes, try and knock it down in size. And you can do that through online tools, through Photoshop. Just Google it. You know, how do I reduce the size of a JPEG or a PNG? But we get so many people. I think we had a website come to us a while ago because it was loading so slowly, the back end. We realized that they've been adding about 10 pictures a week for a couple of years. 10 pictures a week, and they're about 1 to 3 meg each picture. And they're wondering why their website and the back end is loading incredibly slowly, because they've got gigabytes of images on this web server that we're hosting. We hadn't picked up on it because we're not maintaining it. They were just adding it. So don't add images are massive. Knock them down in size, and that's what you can do to keep your site small. there is, again, that way off of quality versus size. I always say anything up to about 200, 250 is okay, depending on what else you've got on the web page. But you want to try and keep them down as low as possible. So keeping your website small is a big thing as well. Ensure NAP is consistent. Now, I mentioned this earlier. This sounds really strange, but it sounds a little bit kind of pedantic, but your website will be featured across loads of other directories across the internet. It might be on Yale.com, it might be on Thompson.co.uk, it might be on Northampton Life, which is a business of ours. There might be loads of places where it appears, and Google will rank you negatively if on each of those websites you are set up in terms of kind of key information, name, address, phone number, specifically differently. So let's say, again, coming back to you, Cherie, Lara Boot hairdressing. Let's say on one website, your Lara Boot, all one word, hairdressing, another word. And then on another website, it's Lara space boot space hairdressing. It's going to rank you negatively. So you need to just go through and check these things. And again, this is stuff you can do, but it just takes time. Again, things like address, make sure your address is detailed across your website and all directories, across everywhere that it could be, exactly the same. Carl, we've just had you jump into the room. Unfortunately, we've just done about 50 minutes, so we're not far from the end. There is going to be a recording, Carl. Sorry, I just saw you kind of pop up. There is going to be a recording that Bex will send out afterwards, and you're welcome to watch that. Just to let you know, we are towards the end now. So yeah, ensuring NAP is consistent is crucial. All of these little things, they add a little bit of weighting to where you sit on Google, and different things apply different kind of weightings. NAP is one of them. The next thing that's worth doing is considering how the user feels. User experience is something that's talked a lot about in web design and web development. In big companies, you actually get specific people recruited just to look at UX or user experience. You know, how does a user feel when they visit your website? Do they get what they want from it? And it's really important to consider how the user feels, because not everything that Google ranks you for is down to the content that you write. It's not all down to your Google business profile. It's not all down to the things that I've mentioned today. Sometimes it is as simple as when a user searches for a particular key search term or keyword, and they jump onto your website, how long do they stay there for? If they don't stay there for very long and they bounce back off, it's because the user is generally feeling like they haven't got the answer to their question, or they don't like the way your website looks because, you know, and they don't feel like they're going to get the answer to the question, so they bounce off. So you need to consider how the user feels when visiting your website. And this kind of comes down to generally the design aspect. When people bounce onto your website, are they inspired? Are they seeing what they want to see? Is what they want to achieve there for them within a click or two? So it's probably a really good exercise to actually go through your website or have a couple of people independent to the business or independent to your role, go through the website with particular tasks. Right, your task is to get in touch with us about a colouring, you know, booking in to have your hair coloured. Or it might be, I want you to find out about how we typically manage people's data, or set them a task, or set yourself a task, and go through that task kind of independently, and document how you would physically feel going through that as a user, and then make appropriate changes. Work with your web designers to make those appropriate changes. Typically speaking, it might be stuff that you might have an opinion on one thing and someone else might have an opinion on another. That's why it's quite useful to get other people involved. But it is absolutely crucial to see how the user feels, because if they're bouncing onto your website and they're bouncing off, that's bad. If they're bouncing onto your website and they're clicking around for ages and ages and ages, then they're generally not finding what they want to find. A great tool to use here is something called Hotjar. And this is, you can, I think Hotjar's got a free free trial, but then you can pay a small amount to basically record people's experiences when they hit your website. And you get your developer to stick a snippet of code on the website. It'll link into Hotjar. And what you can do is you get two different things. You get recordings of people's experience, what they do when they go to the website. So you can see if people click straight off. You can see if people hang around on a page not knowing what to do. And you also get heat maps, so you can see where people generally scroll to, what people click on. It might be that you have a key call to action that people want to click on, but it's right down the bottom of the page, but the heat map shows that typically people don't get to the bottom of the page. So you might want to move it further up. Most of the stuff you want most of the stuff in terms of kind of call to actions and next steps and where you want to kind of direct users needs to be at the top of the page or towards the top of the page, because you'll get single figure percentages scroll right down to the bottom generally, certainly from my experience. So it's really, really important to think about how the user feels when visiting your website, do some research, put some time into it, maybe download and utilize Hotjar. There are other tools about that will kind of allow you to do that. But the stuff that I've mentioned so far will help you in your search ranking, but this kind of hypothetical stuff as well and putting it into practice will also help. And finally, I'm going to jump on something else in a second as well and talk about something that you might want to get, some of an agency involved in, like us, or maybe invest some real kind of hardcore time into it. But the final thing I would say on this particular topic is apply all those strategies, spend time on it each month. It will help. Make sure you track it though. Make sure you track your keywords. And there are tools out there that will enable you to do that. A lot of the tracking tools are paid for, but there's things like Moz, that's M-O-Z. There's things like Ahrefs that you can use. SEMrush. There's quite a few different tools that you can utilize to track your keywords and how they're performing. Because if you're putting this effort in, you need to track how it's actually performing. Thank you, Bex, for putting them in the chat. Like I said, they generally charge you for it. There's not many out there. I don't know of any that help you track without being paid for, but I might be wrong. We use Ahrefs. We've used Moz before. They're very good, and they don't cost a lot really. Track it, but don't obsess over it.
I like SEMrush. I've used SEMrush in the past, and I found that very good. Cool.
Okay. They're all much for muchness. So you tend to find something you like. I always used to like Moz, but then I think they put their prices up, so we moved over to Ahrefs, and it's good as well. But if you are going to do this, invest time into it. It's worth tracking it. But please don't obsess over it. We run monthly calls with all of our search-based clients, SEO clients, and we say the same thing. Your journey from a search perspective is going to be like that. It's going to be up and down like a yo-yo, because Google changed things. Your competitors do different things. You're going to be up and down in search. Generally speaking, you want to make sure you go that way. You want to make sure you go up, but going up is going to involve going down at times. So don't obsess over a drop in rankings from one day to the next, because typically what we see is when we see a drop in rankings, as long as we're doing the right things, whenever we see a drop in rankings, we typically see it rebound the next day or the next week. And sometimes that can happen. So just bear in mind, it will be a roller coaster. If you drop 1 month, don't worry too much. Do it over a longer period of time. If you're constantly dropping over 3 months, then yes, you wanna have a look at things. But if you drop from one day to the next, it's perfectly normal. Don't obsess over things. Now we've got a few minutes left, so I just want to talk about one more thing, and then we'll shoot off. These are all things you can do, and hopefully I've explained them in such a way where it's pretty easy and pretty simple to do. You might need to gain access to your website. You might need to get access to your Google Business profile, but all of this stuff you can do with a bit of time. This is what we do for clients because they can't spare the time, and we do other stuff as well. But one of the other things you might want to look at is we've talked about link building, kind of link to things within your website. One of the key ranking factors is, and it always will be, is backlinks. Now, backlinks are links from other people's site into you. We've talked about you linking from your website into other pages across your website and then externally. You want to encourage links coming into your website as well. Now, link building is a bit of an art, and it can take a shed load of time. So if I was to recommend anything, that's the thing you outsource. The first question would be, do you need to run a link building campaign in that nature? First of all, analyze your website and see how many links you've got coming through to your website compared to your competitors. If you are sat at number 10 on certain search terms, or page 2 or page 3, and everyone on page 1 has got 200 plus links going through to their website, and you've got 2, then yeah, you need to look at it. Realistically, you need to look at it. But if the figures are nominal, then it might be worth focusing on other things. Now, there are a number of ways that you can link build. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'll give you a few examples. One of them might be PR, some kind of PR campaign. Google's come out in the past and said they hate PR campaigns when it comes to link building, but it still does work. The other thing might be getting in touch with industry-leading websites that gain a lot of traffic already, and seeing if you can almost guest blog for them and get a link through that way. One of the most effective ways, though, is by building and writing high-quality evergreen content. We went to an SEO conference. I went to an SEO conference about 2 years ago, and there was an agency there that actually ran a test over a 6-month period on, I think they took 10 clients and they ran a test on 10 clients over 6 months, and they stopped doing all backlinking campaigns for them, and they invested that money that the client had invested into backlinking campaigns into creating shed loads more content, and they actually found that they attracted more backlinks by doing that than by trying to kind of grind away at asking people for backlinks. There's loads of different ways of asking people for backlinks. I said I won't go into them, but one of the most effective ways is just write high quality evergreen content, because if you do, people will find you. And if you start posting it on social, people will find you. And people will link through to good quality content. I think one of our best ever backlinks was from Just Giving, and they wrote a blog about, I can't remember what it's about, on it was years ago, on their website, on their blog. They linked through to one of our articles, and it's probably one of the best backlinks we've ever got. It's because we wrote some really good high quality content. They didn't reach out to us, they just linked to it. It's one of the best ways to do it. So link building is a thing you need to be aware of, but building high quality content is and loads of it is crucial to not just ranking higher, but also to link building as well.